Welcome back in, everyone. So I've been down a bit of a retro rabbit hole lately, digging out old PlayStation 1 games I used to either love or completely forget about. And today's one of those weird in-between cases, because today we're talking about Porsche Challenge on the PS1. Now, if you were around in the late 90s, you probably remember this sitting on a shelf somewhere. Maybe you rented it, maybe it came one of those bundle packs, or maybe you just saw the cover and thought, wait, this whole game is just Porsche? Yeah, it is, and that alone makes it kind of fascinating. So I wanted to go back and spend some time playing it again, and just remind myself whether it was actually any good, or is it just one of those games that survives purely on nostalgia. So let's get into it. Booting this game up in 2026 is kind of surreal. You got that PS1 classic startup, and then immediately you're hit with this super clean, almost minimalistic menu. No chaos, no overload, just here's a Porsche, pick a mode, let's go. And right away, something stands out. This is not your typical racing game. There's no garage full of cars, no progression system, no unlocking Lamborghinis or Ferraris or anything like that. It's just the Porsche box there. That's it. And at first that sounds like a limitation, but weirdly it kind of becomes the game's identity. So what do you actually do in Porsche Challenge? There are a few modes, but the main one is basically a championship style series of races across different tracks. Pretty standard stuff on paper. You've also got time trials, a quick race mode, but yeah, overall, content wise, it's not massive. This is not a hundreds of hours kind of game. This is more like a sit down, do a few races, maybe get competitive with a friend, and then come back to it another day. Very late 90s energy. Driving in this game is very arcade-like, but not in an exaggerated, crazy way you might expect. It's actually kind of stiff. The cars don't drift much, turns feel deliberate. You really have to commit to corners early, otherwise you're either slamming into a wall or losing a ton of speed. And at first it feels awkward, like genuinely awkward. I find myself oversteering constantly for the first few races, just trying to get used to how the car responds, but once it clicks there's actually something pretty satisfying about it. It becomes less about wild driving and more about precision. You're learning the tracks, figuring out the braking points and trying to keep your lines clean. It's almost disciplined, which is not something you'd always expect going into a PS1 racer. The tracks themselves are pretty varied, especially considering the limitations. You've got coastal roads, city environments, countryside routes, all the usual themes, and visually they're not doing a lot with what they have. Now let's be real, this is a PS1 game. There's pop in, there's texture warping, there's that classic everything kind of wobbles if you look too closely, but despite that, there's a vibe to these tracks. Some of them are genuinely nice to drive on, especially when you get into that rhythm. Now graphically, Porsche Challenge is decent for its time. The cars themselves are actually pretty detailed. You can tell there's a lot of care put into representing it accurately, but that makes sense. The game is basically a Porsche showcase. The environments, like I mentioned, are a bit rough by modern standards, but they've got some charm. It's that kind of PS1 classic look where your brain fills in the gaps. But what I will say though, the camera angles during racing can feel a little off sometimes. There's moments where visibility isn't great, especially on tighter tracks, and that can lead to some frustrating collisions. Nothing game breaking, but it's definitely noticeable. The sound in the game's pretty okay as well. Engine noises are fine, not amazing but not terrible. Soundtrack is very late 90s, kind of electronic, bit repetitive, but it fits the game. It's not something you're gonna remember years later, but it does its job. If anything, the audio is just there. It supports the experience but doesn't elevate it. I played it a lot back in the day. It wasn't up there for me with the likes of your Need for Speeds and your Gran Turismos and things like that and Ridge Racer, but it had something to it. It wasn't the best, not everyone even knew about it, but it was something you could just throw on and have a little blast and have a chill on, and that's what it was all about back then, to be honest. So how well does this game hold up today? Well, that's the big question, isn't it? And the honest answer is, it depends on what you're looking for. If you're expecting a deep, content-heavy racing game, this isn't it. If you're looking for something polished by modern standards, this definitely isn't it. But if you're into retro games, or you just want to experience something a bit different from that era, there's something here. It's simple, it's focused, and it doesn't try and be more than it is. Porsche Challenge is one of those games that feels very specific. It's not trying to compete with the big racing franchises of its time. It's not trying to revolutionise anything. It's just a solid, straightforward driving game built around a single car. And in a weird way, that makes it memorable. Because in a genre full of excess, more cars, more tracks, more everything, this game went in the opposite direction, and yeah, it shows its age now. It's a bit rough in places, but there's charm and it's hard to ignore. If you're a retro fan, you need to give it a shot. If you're just curious about a weird niche PS1 game, this is a great example. And if nothing else, it's a cool little time capsule of a very specific moment in gaming history. I'd recommend anyone, if you haven't played it, going back and giving it a shot. If you have played it and you liked it, boot it up. If you didn't like it, I get why. But if you enjoyed this video, please let me know in the comments any other games you'd like to see me do, or what your thoughts on Porsche Challenge was. If you're enjoying the videos on the channel, please hit that subscribe button. I am going to try and get more regular uploads on the channel, as I've managed to get a bit of more spare time, and I'm going to try and get more videos recorded. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.